Hey guys, welcome to Bastion Time. I am your host Bastion. This is story time because we're all stuck indoors from COVID-19. That's when I'm recording this, is when we're in the... It is... I've lost track of time completely. What is this? This is March? The end of March, I think? I'm babbling. It's because I'm probably a little nervous about telling this story because I'm not used to telling these kinds of things on my channel. But I decided why the heck not. I've got nothing to lose. I had recorded a totally different version of this video, but accidentally deleted it. So that sucked. But anyway, can you tell that I'm trying to delay before I get to the topic because I really am a little anxious about the topic. But you can already see the title, right? So you already know what's up. So this is basically about my coming out. And in a way, it's a good thing that I lost the previous version of this video because that one went on for a long time because I basically covered my coming out in every conceivable scenario, and there were quite a few, so I'm gonna divide it in half and just cover Friends. Friends round one, because it's a constant process with me. So let's start at the very beginning. So how did I even know, or whatever? A lot of people seem to know right from the beginning, right? Like a lot of people know from when they were kids or whatever. I didn't really know that I liked dudes. Basically for me, it was kind of like, I was cognizant that I really admired a lot of things about certain guys, but I didn't really realize that the admiration was more of a I want to be with them kind of thing. So basically what ended up happening, and I can remember through so many different points in my life, like, oh, right, well, that was obviously a crush. I didn't talk about this in the previous version of this video, so I guess it's a good thing I'm re-recording it. Basically, my first real obvious crush was I had my best friend from 1st through 3rd grade and kind of 4th grade. We went to different schools after 4th grade, and we never saw each other again until junior high, so our friendship had totally deteriorated. And when we saw each other again in junior high, he had become very cute, and I wasn't really aware of that necessarily, but I really knew that I wanted to be his best friend again really, really bad, but I didn't know why exactly. And I had changed dramatically because after going to a totally different elementary school for 4th grade, I went to a totally different elementary school apart from that one for 5th and 6th grade. And I had been very extroverted and a class clown, and this is kind of disgusting to say, but I was like, he and I were like the most popular kids at that point in time, 1st through 3rd grade. And then I had gone 180. I had become very introverted, very much a bookworm, and just totally different than what I had been. So I think when we got into junior high, which, you know, popularity is extremely important in junior high, status is all that junior high is, he had maintained his status. I had completely lost mine, right? He wasn't necessarily interested in being my friend anymore. And it was less about being friends, of course, and now that I reflect back on it, I had like an obsessive crush on him that I wasn't cognizant of. But anyways, that was my first real crush. I should probably tell this bizarre story, which is that I've always kind of thought of myself as a writer, right? And so I would write these weird short stories in like 6th grade, 7th grade, where in a secret journal that I kept hidden in a false book because I knew that there was something different going on here. And in this short story, like, I would encounter some very attractive guy my age who had some kind of magical means. It changed in each version of the story. I think in one it was a potion or something like that, and another was a magical spell, but had the ability to just make me not like guys anymore. And of course, then there were romantic things that happened with that guy right before. It made no sense. My subconscious brain was really trying to figure this out, right? It was junior year of high school, and there's a local theme park here. I live in Portland, Oregon. There's a theme park kind of in Salem. It's like Disneyland on 1/10 of the budget. And I loved that place as a kid. I'd never been to Disneyland, and I still have never been to Disneyland, but I got to go to this place because it was only like a 45-minute drive away every summer, and I loved it so much. But my favorite thing about it was they had this outdoor stage, and they would do these half-hour long musical comedy parodies of fairy tales. So like, instead of Snow White and the Seven Dwarfs, it was Snow White and the Seven Dorks, things like that. And I loved it so much. And I kind of thought of myself as an actor. Turns out I am not a very good actor, but the point is, I really thought that I was going to be a great actor back then. And so when I was a junior in high school, we got a flyer saying like, hey, want a summer job? Act at this thing. And I was like, oh my gosh, my dream come true, right? So I went ahead and auditioned, and I made it to the second audition, which is called the callback audition. And I was there at the callback audition, and this fellow had just finished doing the song part of his audition and was coming down from the stage, and I guess the whole time I was staring at him in a way that he interpreted as, I like you. That wasn't my intention whatsoever, because again, I wasn't even aware that I like guys at this point necessarily, but he was coming down from the stage and he like winked at me, and I was like, that is interesting, because let's pause for a second here, and I have to admit something that's very embarrassing, which is, up until this point, and even beyond this point, I was very homophobic. Which only goes to prove the statistic that the most homophobic people tend to try. They're homophobic because they're hiding something that about themselves. They're into guys or whatever, right? So, in fact, my mom had a coworker who was a lesbian, and she was going to move into our neighborhood, and I told my mom something horrifying, which was, we can't have those kind of people moving into our neighborhood. What? Come on. But, it's all part of the psychological, the suppression, right? So, anyways, when he winked at me, I thought in my head, I kind of liked that wink. That's weird, because instead of kicking his ass, there are other things that I'd rather. I'm not going to finish that sentence, but it was quite a shock to me. And that was a Sunday, and the very next day, I went to. I'm going to pause for a second and do some spoilers. I did get cast for that. He did not, but the funny thing is, my mom wouldn't let me. I was still just a junior in high school. She wouldn't let me. I didn't have a car, and she wasn't going to let me borrow her car or drive me to and from a half-hour, 45-minute drive every day. So she made me call the director and turn it down, which hilariously, it turns out he ended up getting the part that I didn't. And so then when we did end up working together 2 years later, and I had an opportunity to like actually work with this guy who had created this whole change in my perspective about myself, at that point in time I was like, that not to be rude, but that's the one that flipped the switch for me. Kind of don't see it anymore, but anyway, that's a whole other story, I guess. But let's finish this one up really fast, which is that the first person that I came out to, that audition happened on a Sunday. At school the next day during drama class on Monday, I told my best friend Amanda, oh my gosh, this crazy thing happened. And she was like, I'm not too surprised, because she and I had just been dating like 2 months before that or something like that, maybe 3 months. And she told me that, again, unbeknownst to me, that I was constantly checking out guys. And so she kind of wondered. And it's like, what are you talking about? I was not doing that, but I guess subconsciously I was, and I was not aware of it. So that's kind of bizarre that you can subconsciously be doing things that are rooted at the core of who you truly are without being consciously aware of it. Anyway, so I told her, and she was totally fine with it, of course, and super supportive. And probably it was nice for her to know, like, us breaking up had nothing to do with her. It was because she wasn't a guy, right? And then I told one other high school friend, and then I ended up telling my high school crush, which was a terrible idea on one hand and a great idea on the other, but he turned out to be a straight guy, so that's a whole other story for a whole other time. In fact, again have already recorded that video where I tell that story, and that's 2 videos from now. The next video that we're going to do is going to be coming out to my mom, which was very interesting. And so anyways, see you guys then. Bye guys.